I hope you're all doing well. I am very excited about this chat because we're finally going this stream because we're finally going to go into the actual spatialization of the spatialization demo. So we're going to do some spatial audio and video. If you have no idea what I'm going to do, what I'm all talking about, it's uh, if you haven't seen it yet, this is the fourth episode of a series of where I explain the demo that we created, sort of a virtual office thing. I will show you in a minute how it looks like. Um, Hi Carl, thank you for being here. Uh, and yeah, I hope you all enjoy. And if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat. Or if you're watching this later on YouTube, then ask, add a comment. And hopefully you will join next time on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/daily_co. I will need to add that at some point in the video layout so that you all know what it is. You follow links and things like that. Um, If you're here new on Twitch, then don't forget to subscribe, of course. That's what the cool kids say, like and subscribe, I guess. Um, so yeah, let's head into it. Other view of me. So, I added a pterodactyl to the background. I hope you all like it. So, next slides. So, next slide. Why I'm saying next slide? It's not even a slide. So as I was saying, we're gonna implement spatial audio and video today to managing user media tracks. So we're gonna do user proximity and building the audio graph, and we're all using the WebAudio API for that, and of course also daily. But in case you don't really know what we're working on, so this is the demo. I'm sorry if this is extremely bright and lighting up your room. Maybe you can I can make a sort of a dark version of this at one point, but I'm just gonna start the demo, and then it's gonna be dark very soon. For those who have seen the other videos, then you might be like, what's that? So, finally get your own camera, not the OBS virtual camera. Yes, I finally fixed it by deleting OBS virtual camera. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, see the other videos. So this is me. I can walk around using the arrow keys. I can walk around using WASD for all you gamers out there. And if you get near people or get close to people or farther away, then the audio intensity changes or it goes completely away. You can broadcast to everybody who's around, including in the rooms below, and then where you have rooms that have a specific number of seats. So only 4 people can join these rooms, and then you can only hear each other in those rooms, and you can only see each other in like the corners over here. I should just point at the camera, of course. So yeah, that was a quick overview. You can also mute video, mute audio, and start screen sharing, and we leave the call. And that was like the first video. We went over the whole. We went over the entire tech stack that we were going to work on. The second video, we were showing how to create this UI. The third video, we got more into creating the room, so the world. So the first was the room. The second was the room. The third was the world, and now we're gonna look at user media tracks. By the way, these things are all created by Lisa. Hello, Ramon. Good to see you here. Thank you for joining. So this, as I said, is a poster for series. A not a post of course here. This is the fourth post of a series, fourth video of a series. You can also follow along with the blog post. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing the blog post. If you want, you can also view the entire series here. So as you can see, this is part 4 of 7. So I hope to get this all done soon. I'm also going on vacation. I think I still have 3 or maybe 4 live streams left, so that would be perfect. And I'm also doing impromptu live streams, by the way, where I do something completely different. So if you want to follow those, then you have to subscribe so you know when I'm going live. Anyway, back into this. Let's look into the user and their user media. The user is right here. So we have this user.ts file. I'm going to show you in a minute where we're using this. We're importing a lot of things as well from Pixie. If you haven't seen it, Pixie is the 2D environments, the 2D engine that we're using for drawing everything and looping through things. But let's go back into our stuff. So as the blog says, every participant in our daily video has a user instance. And it has 2 different textures. So we have the video texture right over here. I should make my mouse bigger, it's easier to see maybe. But anyway, the video texture that is like me over here. And then there's not me. Now I switch to the top right. So when do you see what? Well, you see another user's video when you're close to them or when you're in the same room. And if you're far away from someone, so if you don't hear someone, then you don't see that video. So this is called a sprite, and it's an object that you can render using Pixie.js. Let's see, sprites. Maybe we used it in the worlds. Where is the worlds? Here, maybe. Sprite. Oh wait, searching on the wrong side. Room. I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get to that code. Sprite is one of the most. Yeah. So here they are also explaining what a sprite is on Pixie.js. Very well designed docs. And it contains all the data associated with the object. So it has the texture. The texture is how it looks. You have the position, so the X and Y coordinates on where they are in the world. You have the size and all the other states that are interesting for your own user, but also for other users. So, back to the user data. So set video texture. Let's see, is this the only place where we're doing that? We're gonna explain a little bit later about set. Let me just first figure out where we are creating these users. So we call this user. So let's see, we have a room where we have user dot user. So we have things here and there. Wait, where? Here, user. So we're getting the user from in different functions. Hold on a second. So the user has a lot of different logic in it. And we are also updating the logic in the worlds file, the worlds class. And let's go back to the user. So when a user is created, it has like things like username. Why cannot init user, update user. I get user, process user. Is there not a create user or something, or just sort of confused right now? Init local user. Okay, so we have a world which is init local user that has a create user, and a create user says new user. Okay, so if you initiate a new user, it has, oh, thanks Lisa. Try looking for new user. Yes, I should have looked for new user. That would have been so much faster. So there's a create user function that's being called when we initiate the local user, where we have all the arguments like the X and Y coordinates. This is the part that we went over in the last stream, but here we have the new user with all the arguments. And when you call that, you get into this constructor. So this user uses a collider class from something that we created, but that extends another collider from Pixie, and we'll get into that maybe a little bit later. So here we have this emoji, which is the default texture that we are going to be using later. So you can change that if you want into whatever you want. We have some functions that says if someone is in earshot distance, so if another user needs to be seen or heard by this user. So yeah, then there's some speed arguments that we've talked about last time as well. And then we have the set default texture. That's what we're going to look into a little bit later, or right now actually, or is it the set? What's the set video texture? How often do we use that? So we have them here in the update zone. We have the function itself. I was actually thinking that it must be stream video. Okay, the update zone. Okay, so when we want to show the video texture, we call the private set video texture. So if you update the zone, which happens when someone goes in or out a specific zone in the world, then we call the set video texture. So this also happens when you go close to someone or when you are close to someone. So we've left no, not update zone. So we check if the user already has a video texture set. And we didn't specify a force reset. Anyway, early out. Okay. Let's see if we have an explanation about that here. Above, we early out of the method if the texture type is already video and the caller did not request a force reset. Are we talking about force reset? When would be force reset? So we get into that slightly later. User does not have a video track. So the user does not have a video track to use for video texture. So if you don't have a video, so like if your video has been muted, like so, then you don't show the video. That makes sense, right? And it's always like that. So the set video texture, by the way, is to set it as video. So if the user has no video, then you early out. And if you're already waiting for a video texture to be set, so video texture attempt pending, then you also go out of it. And then finally, if the video the tag we'll be using to create this texture is not yet playing, then we create a pending attempt. So that is this thing. So sometimes it happens that that the video is not yet playing. It can be for different kinds of reasons. If, for example, if you try to set a video texture before the video tag, so if the video has not loaded yet, for example, so then we created a base texture. So set default texture. So in the set default texture, you get, okay, we'll get into that later. Sorry, I keep saying we get into that later. This is not going to be like a 15-minute live stream because we're already into it 15 minutes. This is going to be like an hour live stream. So yeah, bear with me on that. So we then create a base texture from our user's video tag. And a rectangular frame to apply on the texture. So I need to enunciate better. Texture. So let's last time I learned this cool trick to go back into Control minus, go back into the place where I was before from Carl. So I need to keep using it, but I still need to get used to it. So set default texture. Here we are. So we have a couple of different texture types. So we have the video and we have the default. So we have a base texture. We use Pixie's base texture, and that has an image. According to the documentation from Pixie itself, that texture stores the information that represents an image. All textures have a base texture which contains information about the source. Therefore, you can have many textures all using the same base texture. But we're not. There's only one base texture that has this specific video tag. So we have a tag like the base texture can take a Pixie resource or any other type of resource. And our resource that we're using is the video that we've created. MipMap, that sounds fun. MipMap filtering modes that are supported by Pixie. Texture filtering. MipMaps are generated for a base texture if MipMap only affects WebGL. Well, for some reason we turn it off. Do we have an explanation why we turn it off? MipMap? No. Basic. So we're just not using the MipMaps modes. Whatever that is. And we have a texture error. What does the texture? Yeah, so you also always want to have like a sort of a console error when you're where you can catch the errors, because at least then you know what's going wrong. This does nothing else than just doing a console log somewhere. And then we have the texture map, which is a rectangle. Mask, which is a rectangle, because, well, we're using a rectangle. We also have a different, we could probably do something like circle as well, but rectangles make sense right now. Set our texture map to ensure correct dimensions and aspect ratio based on the size of backing video track resources. Okay. Maybe we have some explanation here. Okay. It is a lot of stuff here that makes sure that the sizing is correct. That it's like a rectangle with a specific size where we get the width and the height of the resource. And then we have a name label that is inside the, like, right over here. It says you, but it could also be someone else's name. So let me see if I join as a second me. I'm just gonna join HTTPS Jayne stream daily.co. That's not the right place. It should be here. And this should be /hello, I think. Oh, right, that doesn't work. Oh, there's Jayne. And now I'm here. As you can see, by the way, it goes brighter and less bright. All right, there's two of me now. Well, for you, there's even 3 of me because I'm also like in your top left corner. 3 of me. That's more than enough. All right, so we passed. Yeah, so let's go back a little bit. So we passed this boolean called force reset on the top here. Force reset. Its default is false, and sometimes we want to force a reset even if it's already a video sprite, and that needs to happen sometimes. For example, when video constraints are modified. So with set bandwidth, we constrain the sizing of the videos, and sometimes you want to update that. So let's see. Oh, back to the demo. So you can see that the video is slightly blurry. So if you go here, then the video is bigger. So then we already have a video texture, but we need another one for that. So as we mentioned in that post, the world and sprites within it should function regardless of the implementation details. I was mistaken. That's not it. Go and do that later, because that's another video texture, I think. So we want to set a handler to listen for video resize events. So if your video size changes, then we want to change the video texture as well. So let's see. Add video resize handler. So we have this user media thing. Where we create the video tag and the audio tag. That's like, if you wonder where the video tag is, this is a video tag, but then in JavaScript. And then if that video tag is resized, so then we want to, let's see, set video texture, add video resize handler. Is like, oh yeah, so that's that function which has a callback. So this has a function which has a callback here, and that callback is this. So when the video resize handler is called, then video texture resize, and then we check if it's a video. So if it's a video, then only then we force the resets. So basically, does it happen when I make this smaller? No. Okay, never mind. The reason we create the texture mask is, I'm reading from Lisa's chat. So the reason we create the texture mask is that the sprite makes no assumption about the aspect ratio of the video resource. For example, the track we get from daily could be 200 by 200 or 720p or whatever. The sprite texture needs to show the video properly regardless of the size of the backing video. So that logic handles this. There's a bit of explanation in the post as well, but that's the gist. Okay. So if the size that we get from daily changes, then we need to change then we need to make sure that the sprite handles that as well. There could be many reasons why it changes. For example, if you move from peer-to-peer to SFU, so that's when a lot of users get into the call, then you change from peer-to-peer calls to an SFU, which is a unit in between all the video calls. Then it could be that you get another video size. I hope that's correct. I think that's correct. I feel very confident about that being correct. And thank you, Lisa, for explaining it again. So as I showed before, every user has an instance of user media which hold their video and audio tags and tracks. You may remember that we get a participant updated event from daily. Okay, so back into participant updated. Yeah, back into the room file. So back into like the second video, I think we were talking about this part of the room file. When you create the daily call object itself, you have all these events that you can subscribe to, and so we have the participant updated event, which is doing this function where we update the user. So when the participant has been changed, so from the and passes the updated participant session ID, username, and tracks to the world. Session ID, username, and tracks. Update tracks and set username. So if the username changes, or if we finally get the username actually, so if that is like you don't get the username immediately, you only get it later when it's updated, which is almost exactly at the same time. That's how we made it at least. And then you update the tracks, which is like the video stream or the audio stream that you get, or the screen source, which is the screen share. And that all happens in this user media file. Or at least updating it. A lot of things happening here. We'll go into those later. Back to the blog, and also back to iTerm being the first one, because I don't want to show iTerm constantly because we don't really need it. So if the user is not a local user, we also set the username. Yeah, the local user is you, so you, and the other one is Jayne. Now let's see what update tracks actually does. So update tracks streams the given video and audio tracks. As we'll see shortly, most of what that work is delegated to user media. Yeah, that's what I just said. The user class is mostly responsible for setting the correct sprite texture and handling proximity calculation between users. The user media class is mostly responsible for actually managing the video and audio resources, the text and the notes. So the user's media. Okay, it's good that we split it up because there's quite a lot of things going on. I still show the I for iTerm. Anyway, so there's a lot of things going on in both files. So this is destroying and creating the user itself, having things like getting the position of the user, getting the size of the user. These are all important for to know to send this also for Pixie. Zones, which we're gonna go into later in a later live stream. Zone mates. I just love zone mates. It's like the people who are in your zone. Maybe zone friends is also fun, but zone mates is, I like it. I don't know. And the setting the textures like we did before. So the user is all about where the user is and how it looks, and the user media is the video, the audio, and all the audio notes that we'll get into just in a second or two. So we have the stream, what is it called? Stream video. So there's a stream video file in the user file, and that one asks like this media. This is the user media. It asks to update the video source. So that's when you like when you update the tracks, you have the stream video and the stream audio. So it streams the video. So it updates the video source track with the new track, updates the video source with the new track. And if the camera is disabled, it sets the default texture. Wait, if this doesn't mean that a camera is disabled, this texture type is video, and set default texture. Oh, right, because, okay, so I was just like, why would you only set the default texture if the texture type is video? But yeah, if it's the texture type is not video, then you don't have to set it to default because it's already default. Okay. Anyway, so if the camera is disabled, it will be a default texture. If not, it will set the video texture from this user. So again, we have a lot of different users. It's not just the local user, it's also all the external users. So media.update video source. Are we going into that? Yes. Media.update video source. If the update was called with no valid video track, okay, so it could happen that we don't have a valid video track, or if we don't have a video track, that's basically what this says. We'll take that as the camera being disabled. If the user is in focus zone or broadcasting, update their focus styles accordingly. So if the camera is disabled, then current action is action in zone. Okay, so those are the zones we're talking about later. If there is a valid video track, we know that the camera is not disabled, so we set camera disabled as false, equals false, and only replace the track if the track ID has changed. Yeah, so if you update the video track and the track is still the same as the one that exists, then we don't need to replace it. And if it is new, then you do need to replace it. For example, if you don't have a track yet, or if you get a whole new track from daily or something like that. If the user is in a focus zone or broadcasting, updates their focus zone tiles. And again, this is about the zones. So going into that later. I'm finding myself on repeat a little bit. So if we check if the user camera is noted, if so, and we previously had a video texture on the sprite, we set that texture to the default video, yeah. Update the video track. Yes. This is very important because, as we saw above, our user class uses this tag as the base resource for the sprite's video texture. Yeah. So this video track and this source object, that is how you see your video. And then there's there's an update audio source. This has similar things. If the track is the same, then we just don't do anything. If we don't have an audio tag, or we don't, why would we not have an audio tag again? Because, okay, so if you don't have an audio tag yet, or if we don't have a track yet, this could possibly happen, of course. So we just want to make sure that it doesn't happen, doesn't break. Then we also return that we don't have those, and then otherwise we set the new track as the audio track. And now we get into things that I have no clue about. All right, so this is a node chain. So node chain is about WebAudio APIs. I said previously that this vlog is a lot about web audio. This stream is a lot about WebAudio APIs. We're 35 minutes in, and we're just going to start about it. But that being said, the node chain. That's what we are here now. So the node chain. Here we have the documentation on a class. Wait. The node chain. Node chain. New node chain. A custom class we define to store all web audio nodes we'll be working with, which is it is responsible for maintaining the audio graph. So here we have a get gain and update gain, a get pen, update pen. If you are into web audio or audio, you know what this is. I'm not, so hopefully we'll explain it a little bit. Then we have an audio graph. I talked about that a little bit in one of the previous videos, but we're gonna get into more details now. So, creating our WebAudio API nodes. Let's go through the actual creation of it. So there's a private function called node chain, which is here created in user media. Right, so that's where we were. Like we talked about it here, node chain. At this point, however, we don't actually do anything else with the instance. Okay, that's what that's what happens later. User video tag. We also create the user's video tag and audio tag when constructing the user media. Here. Not there, but where was that? Create video tag, create audio tag, yeah. As we saw above, user media.create audio nodes. We get that when we create a new audio track. Create audio nodes. With audio source, we create audio nodes with previous gain and pen or save current gain and pen value if any. Otherwise, yeah, it will have a null basically. At this point, the node chain is initialized. So what is a node chain? A node, that's what we are doing. Sorry, I keep getting confused by all the naming. So a new node chain is initialized. Create audio nodes. Node chain.init. So here the new node chain is initialized. Node chain sounds so fancy. The function returns a media stream, which is a audio API thing. Audio API? Or what, just another API? Just another API. Which we then set on our existing tag, audio tag, after retrieving the new media stream. So that's in the init. That is here, new media stream. When set to existing audio tag. After retrieving the media stream, we update the gain and pen values of our audio nodes. So window.audio context.create gain. Are we explaining what gain and pen is? Not here. So audio context.create gain. Audio context is like just an interface in window. So get create gain is base audio context. Create gain is a method of base audio context that creates a gain node which can be used to control the overall gain or volume of the interface. Okay, so the gain is the volume. And then we also have a create penner, or was it create penner? Create penner? Create stereo penner. Create stereo penner, so that's the pen. Creates a stereo penner which can be used to apply stereo penning to an audio source. Stereo penner nodes. So that's left or right. So that's the position. Right? Represent stereo penner module that can be used to pen an audio stream left or right. So that's when you know if your user is to the left or to the right. Okay, so we create the gain here, we create the stereo penner, we create a dynamic compressor. Let's see what that does. This stream is not going to take an hour, is it? It's going to take so much more. So this can be used to apply compression to an audio signal. That's nice. And then we create a media stream source. And we create a media stream destination. So in the source, we connect the gain. And on the gain, we connect the stereo penner. And the stereo penner, on the stereo penner, we connect the compressor. And on the compressor, we connect the destination. That's fine. That's nice. That would works like all the... Oh, now I suddenly realize that we have that here. Yes. So we create a gain node, stereo penner nodes, dynamic compressor, and chain them together. Our audio graph ends up looking like something like this. Okay, so we have this whole... This is how our audio graph looks like right now. A media stream audio source node with a gain nodes that has stereo penner nodes, that has a dynamics compressor node, that has a destination thingy. There's a few bug workarounds. Are they still? Yes. So there's a few workarounds that we need to do that I'm not going to go into detail, but there's some issues here and there. It's still not fixed. Looking into where it opened, doesn't look like it's fixed yet. Lots of discussion. Last thing was on August 9th. Okay. Works great. Okay, so they seem to have fixed it in one version. I'm not sure if it's out yet. Okay, so by the way, if you have any questions in the meantime, if you're like, I have no idea still where this is going, just ask in the chat. We have lots of friendly helpers, and also me, who maybe is able to answer any questions. Let me just take a sip of my water in between. So the stereo penner node is non-functional on Chrome. So until we find a better workaround, we'll have volume fade when running the demo in Chrome, but not left-right penning. Sadly, I'm not able to show you how it sounds like when I'm doing this because I don't have the audio looped through my OBS. But I can sort of explain. I'm using Firefox right now, so I may be able to hear it for you. Maybe I can put the volume up, but then you just hear myself talking because I don't have anyone else in the demo. The penning is hardware dependent. For example, some types of Bluetooth earphones don't register any pen at all. If you're using a non-Chrome browser and don't hear penning, try another input method. Okay, so this is it's if you hate browser bugs, then oh, text a bit larger. Yes, very sorry. I usually do this. It's okay. I hope that this is a little bit better. Just give me a thumbs up if this works for you. I can even make it bigger. Okay. Wait, where are we? Now I need to figure out where we were. Okay, so here it is. So yes, as I said, the panning is also hardware dependent. So if you hate browser bugs, if you just cannot do anything with what did I do? Press the wrong button. I just wanted to close this. If you hate browser bugs, then this is gonna be suck, of course. But yeah, things just happen. I know. I remember working on IE 5.5 and oh, no worries, Ramon. It was just a second that I was thrown off. So I was working on IE 5.5 for Mac, and that was not working the same as Safari for Mac did. I'm happy that these are just the smaller things right now. So not having penning work on Chrome browsers, it's on Chrome browsers. It's not that big of an issue unless you really want people to have that for a functional reason, and then you just need to say I'm sorry, but you have to switch. But I think that you can see Chrome, but you don't know if someone has a non-functional Bluetooth because you cannot really detect all of the functions. So this is our workaround for Chrome. Hopefully will be fixed soon. So then at the end, we said that it's initialized and return the source stream here. And the source stream is the media stream that we created. Okay, so how are we? Okay, so each tick, okay, processing the users. So here on the update function in the world. So if you have seen the last one, the world has an update function that runs every tick. Basically, every time it keeps looping. Every time it runs the updates, it happens so often that you don't even see it. And one of the things that we do is process users. And this thing is gone. Weird again. Each app calls the process users and our local user providing a collection of all users. Yeah. There, we iterate through each user to see where they are in isolation to the real user. Okay, so so we have this process users function that we call, then we loop through all the others. So this is a user stuck on, we have a users container where we put all the users in, and then we loop through all of those, and then we process each user individually, setting the correct type, making sure that we know what zone they're in and if they're close. If they're all in the same, if they're all both in the default zone, then we update the proximity, or we check the proximity. Is this something? Yeah, this is something what we're talking about now. So here we are checking the proximity. So if there's we want to calculate the distance to, okay, I need to do it like this. So we want to have the distance between two users. So first we early out if we mistakenly call ourselves. Next, we calculate the distance between our local user and other users. That is this one, distance to. We need to get the distance from the center of the user. So we have the x and y of the user, of ourself, and the x and y of the other user. So we get the center of the tile. So instead of having like the top left or something, we have the center of the tile, which is the base size divided by 2. So basically you have this square, like, am I seeing myself like, yeah. So basically you have this square and you want to get the exact center, then you just, and it calculates from the top left. So you have the base size, you divide it by 2, and then you get the center. Simple, I think. What the hell is hypot? Sorry, that's not so simple. Returns the square root of the sum of squares in its argument. Alright, so as I mentioned before, Lisa has a little bit more experience with these things. Calculate the user's alpha should be. This allows us to have user. So I'm not really sure what this does. So what does hypot mean? I know, I should know this. I've done this before. I should know it. I don't know. It calculates the distance. So we pass in the square root of the sum of square. It's a math thing. It's a math thing. Just don't worry about it. It works. After retrieving the distance between users, we calculate what the user's alpha should be. This allows us to have the user fade in as we approach and fade out as we retreat. So we have a distance. We calculate the target's alpha of the user, of the other users, based on their distance from the user running this update. This does earshot distance. Where do we set the earshot distance again? Here we do that. Earshot by default is 400. Going back. Calculate the target alpha of the other users based on their distance from the user running this update. So as you saw, it fades in and fades out. I am so confused, by the way. This is math things, and I usually let other people do math things. So I assume that this works. What is, Lisa? If you can explain shortly what alpha is, and please do it in the chat if you want to. And then I'm just gonna continue. This is, so we have the other's alpha, which Lisa will hopefully explain. Otherwise, it's also fine, Lisa. Oh, the transparent, okay, the alpha transparency. I am so stupid. So, sorry. Yeah, alpha transparency. So you have 0 to 100, where 0 is... Okay, so Lisa just shared a link. So it's alpha transparency 0 to 100, where 0 is completely transparent and 100 is completely opaque, or the other way around. I think that's the right one. Oh, distance in the coordinate plane. Oh, okay, so this is derived from the Pythagorean theorem. That's why I should know it. So the square root of A times the square root of B is square root of C. It's so much simpler when So given endpoints X, okay. So distance in the plane. If you want to know the distance formula, there's a Lumen learning link that will be in the description down below if you're watching on YouTube. And otherwise, it's right now in the chat if you're watching on Twitch. And that's all I'm gonna say about this. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, alpha makes way more sense for me now. So it's so we do the vicinity checks. I feel so flustered when I don't know things, and I cannot know everything, of course. This is where track subscription and non-subscription will happen. We do it. Yes, so if a user is in the vicinity or leaving the vicinity, we want to update, we want to know that, because then we can subscribe to their video and audio tracks. Because if people are not in your vicinity and you don't see the video or the audio, then you don't want to have, like, you don't want to be subscribed to their audio and video tracks, because that would take a lot of unnecessary bandwidth. Imagine that this world will, instead of having me twice, will have 200 people. You don't need 200 videos if you can only see like 10 people of it, or even if you're here, you only see 4 people, and that would be completely unnecessary. So if you're in the vicinity, then you want to show the video and audio or subscribe to it. Otherwise, you want to unsubscribe to it. We explain a little bit more about that. I'm not sure if we have already done that. So the distance, by the way, the 400 is pixels. Kind of makes sense. Okay, so if you're in earshot, then you can hear each other. If you're in the vicinity, then we subscribe, so you can, like, otherwise it has to load when you get immediately into earshot. So when you're in the vicinity here, like in this part, then you subscribe or unsubscribe. This also happens when you're in the vicinity, I think, of the rooms. So that's another thing that we are going into later. So these values can be tweaked and designed to whatever feels right. Yeah. You might remember that onEnter vicinity was originally passed to our world instance from the room class. All this function does is subscribe to the local user to the remote users track. So that's when we subscribe to tracks. I can show you where that is. So from the world. Yeah. So here, when you create a user, you have the onEnter vicinity, and this sub to tracks is then passed from the room into the world, and that is sub to user tracks, and then you subscribe here with the update participants from the call object. So this call object is daily, in case you wonder, like, what do we do daily? Rooms are a bit different. Okay. Okay, Lisa just said that the rooms are a bit different. They don't do the additional vicinity and distance logic. So next one, probably. Next video. So we have set subscribe tracks where we subscribe to the audio, video, and screen share if we need to. Sorry, that was my alarm for 9 o'clock when I take my estrogen, but not today. I will take it when I'm done. So likewise, on leave vicinity, unsubscribes, but only if you're in SFU mode, which we also explained then. And then we have some, how much do we still have? Just a little bit. So bear with me if you are still interested. So we move on. We have some earshot checks. So we have the proximity update, again, where we were a little bit before. And then we have the user is checking if it's in earshot, which is sort of like another distance check. If the remote user is in earshot, that is no more than 400 pixels away from the local users, we figure out where they are and what their audio pen and gain value should be. Is in, oh, back to the user. Is in earshot. Here we go. User.get audio mod. So here we calculate the gain value. So the gain value, again, that is the volume. So there's a clamp function, which does something. I'm gonna ignore that. Okay, so we have we calculate the gain. We set 0.5 to the max gain value when traversing to the world in this case, but of course this can be tweaked. Okay, so this is minimum value of 0, a maximum value of 0.5. If it's in between, then we get that. Number, yes. Okay, that's what clamp does. So you get, you pass in one value and then you return that value as long as it's between these two values. I'm always afraid that I get these things wrong, but it looks okay. It looked okay. And then we have the pen value. The pen value depends on whether the user's position on the x-axis is to the left or to the right of the local user. If they are exactly in the same position, the x-axis, the pen will be 0. If they are all the way to the left of the earshot distance, the pen value will be -1. Okay, so the pen is between -1 and 1, and depending on how far or how you are to the left or to the right of someone, it will be one or the other. That's actually pretty good. So yeah, do we have 3D audio in the WebAudio API yet? Does anyone know that? Getting a little bit sidetracked. That would be interesting if we could also do that, but that works differently. I don't think so. If someone knows, Lisa, if you know, just put it in the chat. 3D audio would be fun with this. Anyway, updating the audio notes. So once we have our audio values, we call use media update audio, and then we do that. Yeah, here. So in earshot. So then we have the audio value. So we have the gain and the pen. So update audio. We saw that we update the gain and we update the pen in the node chain. Yeah. Set value at time. This is the I gain. So this is the WebAudio API gain. This is how you set it. Then we also update the pen. Update, which updates the values of our gain node and our stereo pen node in a node chain instance. And finally, in the user's proximity update, if the other user's camera is not disabled, we enabled their video texture. So we unmute the audio if they are in earshot. If they don't have their camera disabled and we don't have the video yet, then we also set the video to a video. And then we return it. And if we are not in earshot, then we mute the audio and set the default texture. And that's it. So we've done quite a bit, and the web audio part. Okay, so Lisa just chatted that you can create the effects of audio directionality and such based on the listener position using the WebAudio API, but not sure if that's what you meant with 3D audio. I am not sure. I need to check this out. So Lisa shared a link in the chat. About this, where you can set where the audio comes from, which I don't hear right now because I have my audio turned off. Maybe I meant that. So how far away is it, like in front of you and closer, maybe? Left, right, front, center. Yeah, I don't know. I need to get my head around that a little bit. Don't worry. I will share that link also in the description below if you're watching it on YouTube. So next post, we will go through a lot of other stuff. So in our next post, it's part 5, our next video, part 5, we're creating the interactive zones. Finally, I've been saying a lot, well, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about it in the next video or in some other video. Finally, that happens. We still have the screen share support that we want to talk about. And we have like testing all our spatialization features with robots and Jest, which is also going to be interesting. So yeah. Wait, you know what? By the way, if you have a good idea for what else to add to my background every week, I have something else, just let me know in the chat or in the comments. So thank you again for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here during my entire stream. I can add my cats to it, Lisa. Maybe that will be fun. Thank you for everyone who's watching, and don't forget to subscribe so that you can not only watch this streams, but also watch this stream where I try to recreate OBS using Daily's video component system. I think tomorrow, maybe the day after, one of those days I will work on that. So yeah, see you all later, and have a good evening or a good afternoon, whatever you are, and have fun and take care of yourself. All right, bye.